Alright guys, what I want to go over is a little bit of what we went over yesterday. When you're starting perspective drawing, you want to have two things. The first one is your horizon line, and that is where your sky and your ground meet. And the second thing is your vanishing point. You can place this anywhere on your paper. It does not matter. I don't recommend putting it right in the center. Maybe off to either the right or left side would be nice. We went over yesterday how to make a building above the horizon line, how to make some rooftops, and also how to add in a sidewalk. So I'm going to put this one to the side, and I started on this one just so I could start to show you guys how to add in trees and different things like that. So this is one that I had originally worked on, and I'll show you in class. You could see that this building on the left-hand side has some bricks, windows, different things like that. And I could help you according to what you want to create in your drawings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this one, and I'm going to start to show you guys how you could make a building behind another building and also start to add in some textures. So if I wanted to add in a building behind this one, it's going to be pretty much the same idea, but what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to pretend to measure the building going through the house I already have. So I'm going to say I'm going to make it 3 inches, and all I'm doing is I'm going to go in and I'm going to make an extra square. So this is overlapping a little bit, but we're going to go in eventually and erase it. Let me get that a little bit straighter. We are going to go in eventually and erase the part that's overlapping. So I'm going to bring this over a little bit more and then carry that straight up and cut it off approximately here. So the same rules apply to this building. We are going to want to take our 3 points and go back to the vanishing point. Now the reason I had you guys draw this through is so that we can connect this point back to the vanishing point. So you want to go in really light, and I'm just going to kind of drag my pencil across. And it's the exact same thing when you're creating your first building. We're just going in and we're going to place it behind, and I'll show you guys how we're going to go ahead and erase it so that it looks like 2 different buildings. So I'm going to have something that looks like that. Now we're not going to see these sections here, so we could go ahead in and erase them because they are going to be behind that building. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out. And then all we're going to do is go in and we're going to cut this off the same way we did the other one. So I'm going to go to the side, and I am going to then go ahead and bring it up straight. So what you want to make sure is that you have horizontal lines and vertical lines going with your paper. And then I'm going to go ahead in and I am going to erase any of those extra lines. Now, if you want to go ahead in, you could do a roof on this building, but being that I showed you guys in the other video how to go ahead and create a roof, I'm going to just kind of move on onto how to make doors, windows, different things like that. So, like I said, everything is going back to your vanishing point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead in and I am going to start to add a door to this building right here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back from my vanishing point and kind of guess approximately where I want the top of my door to be. I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw a little mark like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead in and I am going to draw 2 straight vertical lines coming down. And there you go. I would have a door. Now, if you want to make a little bit of an inset on your door, you can. So if you do want to go in, I'm going to straighten up this line a little bit and kind of add a little bit of an inset here. you could go ahead and do that as well, and that's just going to make it a little bit more three-dimensional. So hopefully you guys can see that, how it begins to make the door look a little bit more three-dimensional. The next thing is windows. Now windows are going to pretty much be the same exact idea as a door. All you're going to do is go from the vanishing point, and I'm going to drag back and I'm going to make a line of windows along the top of this house. So I am going to go back into space, and then I'm going to start to break these up. So remember, I'm going completely vertical with my lines, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to erase, and then I'm going to cut it off so that I have another window. And you guys could measure these out. You could have different size windows going on your house, and then just go in and erase in between. So that's just an example of how you would go in and create some windows on your building, and also how you could start to create a door. Now, if you want to go in and begin to make maybe like a brick top roof or a brick building, what you're going to do is you are going to go in, and I'm going to have you guys start to make some measurements. So we're going to go in, and I'm going to say I'm going to make a brick approximately every ½ inch. Or ½ inch rather. So I'm going to go in every ½ inch, and I'm just making a little tick mark. Now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to take all those marks, and I'm going to want to draw them back to my vanishing point. So rather than going all the way back, because we do already have a shape, I'm just going to go in and just draw it right on the building. Alright, so I'm going to go all the way back like that. Now you could do bricks, you could turn this into shingles, you could do a lot of different things with it. And then what you're going to do, now that you have this going back into space here, what's facing us is not going back into the distance. That's going to be something that's actually facing us. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to meet the points, and I'm just going to draw straight horizontal lines going through them. This is going to make it look nice and even, and then we could go in and make lines for shingles or bricks or whatever you choose to do. Now this is going to be the same whether you go in for a building or whether you go in for a brick house or anything like that. So that's going to be the basics of creating some lines on your rooftops and starting to add in some textures. I do want to go over a few other things. The next one is going in and adding in different things like trees, telephone poles, things like that. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create 2 lines coming from your vanishing point. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make one really lightly going all the way up to the top there. And then I'm going to add in another one, and I'm going to make it kind of along this area that I'm probably going to use for grass. Now, if you guys could see, I have these 2 lines on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in between them, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to use my ruler to make a vertical line going straight up. And this is just to get a shape in. After you have the general shape, you could go ahead and you could turn them into something that you would like. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in one more tree next to this one. And I'm going to wind up turning these into trees. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to erase my horizon line that I'm not going to see behind those. And I'm going to go ahead out and erase some of those lines that I used to make those markers. So now that I have these 2 pieces in here, you could begin to sketch. I'm probably going to wind up turning them into trees so you could change the shape of them, because we know that the bulk of it is going back to our horizon line. So I'm just kind of sketching this in now. You guys could do whatever type of tree you want if you do want to do a tree. Another thing that you could do is add in telephone poles the same way. So it's really just creating two lines and then going ahead and drawing a shape in between them. I'm going to go ahead back here and I'm going to draw in a small tree. So you can kind of make the rules as you go along, just as long as everything goes back to this point. So I'm just going to go in and make two small lines here. And these are definitely a little bit closer together than the original ones I made. And I'm just going to go in again. I'm going to do my straight vertical line up and down. And maybe I'll make one coming up from over here as well. I usually like to do trees instead of telephone poles. I find it's a little bit more of an organic shape. But I can definitely go over with you guys in class who want to do telephone poles, how you could go ahead and achieve that. So I'm just going to go in and then eventually, you could kind of sketch those out and turn them into a tree of some sort. One more thing I want to go over with you guys is if you want to begin to cut a street off, rather than having everything just go back into space, what you could do is you could go in and actually make a road look like it's turning down the side. So all you're going to do is you're going to take one of your sidewalk lines, and you're going to take the straight horizontal line and I'm going to drag it all the way to the edge, and then decide where you want the road to start. So you can make it big, you can make it small, it really doesn't matter. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to erase where I had that sidewalk. So that's going to kind of build a road for you going out to the side, and you could build little things along it and make it a little bit more of a neighborhood. So hopefully you guys can see that. I know I have really bad focus here on this table I'm working on. I'm going to go in and erase behind these trees. So I know there is a lot of erasing involved, but that's pretty much the basics for how you guys could start adding in some details. Tomorrow's video I will go over even a little bit more, and I will work with you guys individually in class to go over different effects you want to achieve. Alright, so